Why is it so hard to qualify for a mortgage when you have student loans? And why do so many lenders get it wrong? Hi, I'm Scott Shang. I'm the founder of FindMyWayHome.com. For years, we have been helping consumers that have student loans navigate their path to home ownership. Now, we literally get thousands of homeowners or thousands of home buyers just like yourself that are trying to qualify for financing that have student loans. Every single one of these visitors to our website have been told no by another loan officer, and this is so common. It's crazy that this even happens this often. So the reason we're here today is I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the options are. Now, you're not going to follow all of these calculations because there's a lot of calculations, but what I hope you get out of this is the fact that this is complex, and that's why so many people get it wrong. The reason we built this resource, the reason you're listening to this video right now, is because I can introduce you to somebody that I know and trust, that I personally know and trust, that understands these guidelines, that's actually an expert in the student loan guidelines. So, how do I qualify for a mortgage when I have student loans? The single biggest challenge, the single biggest problem that folks have is when you have an income-based repayment program. Now, there are IBR programs with income-based repayment, IDR with income-driven payment, there's pay-as-you-earn, and then there's repay. All of these programs are typically associated when you have the PSLF or the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So anybody working in public service for the government, police, teacher, nonprofits, you have the opportunity to potentially get all of your loans dismissed and forgiven at the end of a 10-year period if you do it properly. So a lot of you out there have income-based payments, and that's really where the challenge comes in. Now, if you're trying to apply for a mortgage and you call a lender, the low-hanging fruit, the easiest type of loan for an inexperienced loan officer to do is an FHA mortgage. And this is where the problem really comes in, is that when you talk to an inexperienced loan officer and they try to qualify you for an FHA mortgage, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, that calculation, FHA does not allow you to have an income-based payment. FHA will only allow you to use a payment that if you make that payment every month till the end of the loan term, that loan is paid off. That's called a fully amortized mortgage. It means you make equal payments every single month till the end of the term until the loan is paid off. That's the only type of payment that FHA will allow. So what do you do if you don't have a fully amortized payment? What do you do if you don't intend on paying off your loans? Well, if you want to use an FHA loan, like if you need to use an FHA loan, you must use a 1% calculation. Now, most people are familiar with this 1% calculation. Most people have been haunted by this 1% calculation, and here's how it works. If you have less than a fully amortized payment and you're trying to apply for an FHA loan, you must use 1% of the loan balance when calculating your debt to income ratio. Now, your debt to income ratio is what determines whether or not you qualify for a mortgage. It will tell you what the maximum loan amount or what the maximum loan payment is that you qualify for after all of your debts and your liabilities that show up on your credit report. And that's really where this problem comes in, because you could qualify for a mortgage no problem with your income-based payment, even if your income-based payment's zero, right? You may be able to qualify for a mortgage, but if you're trying to apply for an FHA mortgage and you have an inexperienced lender that tells you, oh yeah, no problem, when that goes to the underwriter, let's say you have $100,000 in student loan debt. Well, the underwriter is now going to apply 1% of that, or $1,000, as one of your monthly expenses when calculating your debt to income ratio. Now you can kind of see where the problem is. Most people can't afford to add an extra $1,000 to your monthly liabilities. That's not going to give you enough room left over at the end of the month to make your mortgage payment. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you have a couple of different options. The first option is a conventional loan. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac mortgages, they both allow you to use your income-based repayment. VA mortgages also allow you to use an income-based repayment. Now, USDA is a little bit different. You can use an income-based repayment or a 0.5% of the loan balance, whichever is greater. So now do you kind of see where this gets complex? This gets kind of complicated. So all of these scenarios, and again, the reason we put this together is because I literally talk to thousands of people every single month that have already been told the wrong information from another lender. They go through the process. A lot of times folks have paid for appraisals, they paid for inspections, they think they have a move-in date, and the underwriter comes back and says, you know what, your loan officer didn't know their guidelines from the very, very beginning. So that's why we're here. So take a moment, give us all as much information as you possibly can, and I will personally introduce you to somebody that I know and trust that is an expert with student loan guidelines. Now, whether or not you actually are going to qualify with your student loans, that's what we're going to determine. And by knowing your options, that's empowerment. Also, if your current student loan repayment plan isn't going to work for you to qualify for a mortgage, we also have access to resources to allow you to restructure those loans and restructure those repayment plans so potentially you can qualify for a mortgage. So if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to ask your loan officer when you talk to them about whether or not that's an option, if consolidating or refinancing can help put you into a position to better qualify for the mortgage. So if you have any questions, that's what this website is for. Ask your questions below. You can see that hundreds and hundreds of other folks just like you are asking questions, and we are answering those questions. And when you're ready, I can introduce you to an expert that understands student loan guidelines that can help you find your way home.